What we have here is a Ruger LCP 2, and these are very popular with a lot of ladies, and also you know, just as a pocket pistol for a lot of people, and generally they're reliable. Everyone that I've worked on that's come in had feeding problems, and the feeding problem is really simple. Because the guys use it as a pocket pistol, they on the extractor right over there, in that little cavity there, it collects lint and dirt from the pocket. Now this one is partly disassembled, that's why it's loose. So this one came in, and this extractor, and you can still see some of the rust there, and I'll cook it off, but this one came in and this extractor was rusted solid in place. There's a hole over there, right there, where the extractor spring goes in, which is, well, that's part of it, and then that is the extractor plunger. So that little divot goes in on the spring, and that little hole is supposed to line up with that hole over there. So you push it all in, and then you insert a punch through that hole and into that hole that holds it in, and then this just drops into there. So this one, that spring, the spring was completely rusted in place, compressed. So I had to completely compress it to get that hole to line up so that the extractor can actually come out. So the extractor came out. That was the easy bit. Compressing it was difficult, but eventually I got it out with enough oil. Then this spring was jammed in place, and that plunger was jammed in behind the spring, and there's no way of moving it. It got stuck in there. And yeah, all sorts. I beat it with a wooden mallet, put heat on it, put air on it, lots of coil penetrating oil, but eventually it moved slightly, and I could get it to move, and kept on moving it until that little hole peeked out over there, and then I could get something and pull it out. The spring was stuck. The spring was coming out in pieces. You know, as I pulled on it, it was just coming out in pieces. So I made a little jig like that. This was a piece of wire. I beat it flat on it and inserted it in there, and then turned it. So I screwed that onto the spring all the way down to the bottom. So once I got it there, I could now pull from the back end and get that spring out. So I'll replace the spring. I'll cook this to neutralize that rust and in the groove. So I'll cook that off. The plunger can be salvaged. The extractor can be salvaged. Got it all completed. You can still cook the rust off. You can see a little bit of pitting there. Got a new spring in there, so I can actually move that extractor. Okay, to get the extractor out, you got to push back on the extractor so you compress the spring and the plunger that's in there. So you need a punch that will fit that little hole, and something to lever up on that extractor as such, and then you try and get that in there. There you go. Now the extractor is free to come out. I use my little magnet, I should get it out. There you go. And that's how it comes out. If I pull that punch, the spring and plunger will shoot across the workbench. So that little groove, there's a little raised area on the plunger in there that works on that. This design must have been problematic to Ruger, because they've done away with it. They've gone, you know, to a conventional extractor type design where it's got a roll pin through the top that holds it in with, you know, with a spring behind it. Something like this SIG, you know, where you come through there and you got a spring behind it there. Every single LCP that's had feeding problems has been this extractor, either dirt in there, or in the case of this one, rust. Anyway, guys, I hope you found that interesting. Stay safe, Cheers.